Hey guys, good morning. It is Friday. Happy Friday. I decided to hop on today and give you guys an update on how the kids are adjusting to school, or not adjusting, I should say. Molina was the last to start, so I did want to wait until she started so that I had a little bit of information on how she's doing. So all the kids are in school right now except Gavin. He's here, he's in his room. Gavin's not feeling good. He threw up last night at like 1 in the morning all over his bed. And he was actually sick the day before too. He threw up at school. So I'm hoping it's just a tummy bug, but I almost feel like he's eating stuff that's upsetting his stomach, like stuff that he shouldn't be eating outside. He loves to dig in the rocks and like in the dirt. And then outside we have like these old, what are they, like old planters, I guess, that were here from the previous owner, and we haven't cleaned them out. I don't think it's anything that's gonna make him like super sick, but I am gonna keep an eye on him today, and then this weekend we'll be clearing that out so he doesn't continue to eat stuff that he shouldn't eat. So yeah, so he's home. He might come out a couple times looking for food though. He at least does have an appetite, so I'm not like super concerned, but obviously I want him to feel better before sending him back to school. So a lot has happened with the kids' schools. Where should I start? Let's start in the beginning. As you guys know, if you watched the last video, the last 1 or 2 videos, probably 2 videos, you know that Logan and Gavin got split schools. They did get split up. They decided to put Logan in his homeschool in general education, with, you know, still having his speech therapy, his OT therapy, and having, you know, some support. And then Gavin was actually moved to another school that had an autism program that was going to be more supportive for kids with autism that have more of those autistic behaviors, more sensory needs, stuff like that. They do have the sensory room. I believe I mentioned that in one of the last videos. So now where it starts to get stressful has been the whole process with the drop-off situation. There was a lot of stress around dropping off the kids, for one. Me having to drop off Logan at one school and then having to drive over to Gavin's school until he got routed on the bus. Let me tell you, the drop-off situation with Logan was horrible. Nobody listened to me at his school when I mentioned that he cannot be let out of the car like every other kid and just assume he knows where he's gonna go. He needs somebody that's gonna be there to guide him a little bit, at least, you know, until he gets used to his surroundings, coming into a new school. Being Logan, stubborn, and gets very easily distracted. People not knowing that about him was really hard for me to accept that that's just what they wanted me to do with him, is just drop him off like that. So I insisted that we come up with some plan that would make it easier on all of us. So we actually had a plan that was, you know, I would drop him off with one of the staff there who was gonna know exactly that Logan was gonna be here around this time. He would know where to direct him, and he was gonna have him walked back to his playground, to like his side of his the school where his classroom is close, and that was going to be the plan. So that actually did work for probably half a week. And mind you, at this time too, because I was having to drop off just him, Gavin was getting upset that he was not getting dropped off with him. So every time I would drop off Logan, Gavin would cry and be upset in the back seat as we drove to his school. And then going to his school, because his school starts later, we would have to sit in the car for about 20 minutes, which he was not happy about, and waited until I was able to walk him inside with Molina. We had a park, walk him inside, because again, at this school, there was nobody that I can hand him off to. Their process there was not as easy as I thought it was gonna be at first. Not until the following week when I actually found out that I could drop him off at an earlier time with certain people that would know that he's coming. So I did have to arrange for that to happen there until he was routed onto the bus. And that actually seemed to work really good with Gavin, up to the point that he did start taking the bus. So that was not as bad. It was harder on Logan for sure to get dropped off, and just send him off, because there was days where he was not wanting to. There was days where he was refusing. There was days where he wouldn't let go of me and walk in because he wanted me to walk him up to the classroom. He's not familiar with the school. He's, you know, obviously a little scared of coming into this new school and not knowing where to go or who is there for him. Like, he didn't have a familiar face to greet him. That was probably like the first week and a half of doing that. And then Gavin got routed, and Gavin, the situation with him, you know, coming home a lot later than we thought it would be. And so that actually ended up working out a bit smoother after that first day of him getting on the bus. So he did start to get more familiar with getting on the bus in the morning. So Gavin getting routed on the bus meant that I was having to drop off Logan at about 7:40, between 7:40 and 7:45, so that I can be back to the house to have Gavin on the bus between 7:55 and 8 o'clock. And on those days that Logan was not wanting to stay at school, that I had to sit there and talk to him, you know, that he needed to stay, that it's okay, that I needed to go, I gotta get Gavin on the bus. Those days were really hard, because I had to race back after leaving my child crying, and just trusting that he would be okay and that he would be guided to the right area of the school, and then race back to my house to get Gavin on the bus. So there was so many days that we had to figure out something new. Like, either a kid was upset about something, or our routine was not a routine. It was just whatever I can do that day because of what they were going through. So we had a lot of days like that, and I can get into each of those situations, each one of those days, but that would be a really long video, and I have a lot more to cover. So since Gavin being routed on the bus and coming home on the bus, that has actually worked out better now. Even though he is still getting home later, he's coming home happy. He's having good days at school. I get reports from his teacher that he is having amazing days. His teacher has really good communication with me, which I love. I love knowing if my child is having a good day or not, and if there's anything that I can do to help, you know, if they have any questions for me. And he's been very good at communicating, you know, hey, can you pack some more popcorn? Hey, you know, how about we try getting like for lunch, or a lunch bag for Gavin, so that he can walk with his lunch bag into the cafeteria. He only had a lunch box, he didn't have a bag. So they asked me like, hey, can we get him a lunch bag? And I was like, yeah, I don't know why I didn't think of it before, but absolutely. So little things like that. And obviously, like packing his gum in his backpack, like they'll let me know like when he's running low. So far we feel pretty happy with Gavin at his school, like where he's at right now, his teacher, how he's getting home, how he's leaving. That seems to be working out for Gavin better than we thought, actually. From the first few days where it was a little rough, it's actually now starting to flow. So now let's move into this week, which is pretty much like the third week that they've been in, third full week. So when I found out that Molina was gonna start school this past Monday, I reached out to her teacher because I wanted to come up with a plan now that I would have to drop off Molina at the same time. No, like probably like 5 to 10 minutes before Logan is able to be dropped off. I had to figure out a way of like getting her dropped off and Logan dropped off at the same time, because preschool is dropped off at a different side of the school than the regular. Like the regular kids, like, you know, every other grade besides preschool is dropped off at one location. Preschool is only dropped off at a different location, and their process for that is different. I have to get off the car, I have to sign her in and walk her to her teacher or to her classroom. So I think Katos is dreaming. That was gonna be another change, another transition for us now. So now I had to figure out how to do that with enough time to get back home to get Gavin on the bus. So what was supposed to happen, the plan was gonna be that his one-on-one, Logan's one-on-one, which they added probably the week before that, it was going to be added to his IEP and everything. We're actually going to have a meeting about that next week to have that put in his IEP. So his one-on-one was supposed to meet us on Monday at the preschool side so that she can walk him to his playground or cafeteria or classroom, wherever he wanted to go. But he would have somebody there to guide him there, and I could just drop off Molina, sign her in, and then head back home and get Gavin on the bus. That did not happen. That did not happen the first day, and luckily Mondays Robbie is off work, so Robbie actually stayed here at the house with Gavin, got him ready. And Gavin was not happy that he didn't leave with us. So that morning already started rough for him. Back to dropping off Logan and Molina, that didn't happen. I ended up staying there an additional 10 minutes that I needed to hurry, you know, I needed to be back within that time. I ended up staying there longer than I needed to, and not knowing who to hand Logan off to. There was another aide there, another one-on-one waiting for his kiddo. So I asked him, when I asked him, I came up to him and I was like, hey, do you know my kid? Do you know who the aide is assigned to him? I had no idea who it was. He went and got another aide that was there, and then she was like, oh, you know, I can walk him, you know, who's the teacher? And I had never met this person. Logan was not familiar with this person either. So they got us one of the aides, another aide that was there. She was able, like, she came over to us and she's like, oh, you know, I can walk him over to the playground. What's his teacher's name? So I told her, and she's like, yeah, I can walk him over. And Logan was like, no, mom, you walk me, you walk me. So I had already dropped off Molina, so I was like, okay, let's walk you up a little bit further, but then I have to go because, you know, I got to make sure Gavin gets on the bus, okay? And he was upset. He was so upset because the person who was taking him, he did not know. He was not familiar. He did not want to hold this person's hand. He was not letting go of mine. I couldn't walk away. He was crying, he was throwing his backpack. I mean, his water bottle fell out, trying to like get away from this other aide. And it was so heartbreaking to watch him do that and have just the kids, you know, like everybody's hearing him yelling and being upset, and I'm supposed to just walk away from that and trust that he will be okay. Like it just did not sit well with me. Like, it was really upsetting to watch. I did have to walk away in the end because it, you know, once I walk away, I feel like they're accepting, okay, I have to stay here, or I need to go where I need to go. But that was like, the first couple days was rough like that, of doing that drop off where nobody was meeting me there. I didn't know who I was dropping off Logan to. So not until Thursday, yesterday, did we actually finally have a set plan on how I was gonna drop off Logan. I just feel that the communication has been very off with some of the staff there. Like, I have not been able to get proper help with a lot of things, and I don't want to come off as like the mother that, you know, needs to baby their kids and wants to come off like, you know, I need to make sure he gets to class, and, you know, Logan, you know where you're going, like, you know. But I know my kids. I know that Logan can wander away. I know that he can get distracted and not realize where he's walking into. He does it all the time. He walks and doesn't look up. Like, I don't want him to get lost. I don't want him to not know where he's going. So I want to make sure that he knows what he's doing and where he's at. So that was another transition that we went through. Now, got another one. I just got a call yesterday from Gavin's school that they wanted enrollment information for Logan. And I was confused, and I thought maybe they meant Gavin. So I called Gavin's school and asked for the person who called me, and they also sent me an email with the attachment of the enrollment information. And I asked them, I said, oh, you know, is this for Gavin? And they're like, oh no, we heard Logan was coming to our school, so we wanted to make sure that we have all the paperwork and, you know, we're ready for him. And I said, what are you talking about? Like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I was confused. I have not had any information about Logan being moved schools. I thought everything was finally working out fine for him. I know he's having issues with transitions and how his mornings were started, but it is because nothing is established. There is no routine. There are so many changes happening for him every other day. But I called Logan's school, and apparently that is something that they have decided to do. Without getting into too much of everything I went through with this conversation with the principal yesterday and this morning. In the end, it turns out that they did decide that Logan would be better off at Gavin's school, where he would have more of his autism behaviors supported. They have more resources for that there. The sensory room itself is pretty big. That's something that this school, his home school, does not have. A lot of questions came up about this decision to move him. I cried yesterday, this morning. They apologized that when he first started, that they didn't look into his report as well as they should have, which is very concerning. So they did apologize about that. I am not upset, and I hope this doesn't come off this way, and I am not upset that he can't be in general ed. I'm not upset that he has to go to the school that has an autism program. That is not a worry. My concern is having to move him again and going through another transition when it's been so hard on him, on all of us, so hard. The fact that this could have been avoided if somebody would have just taken the time to actually read his report and understand it and understand him, then this wouldn't have happened. And I know I might have a lot of questions come up about this, but I have been back and forth with, you know, questions and, you know, ideas of what to do next, and, you know, like putting our foot down and saying no, like you have to, you know, you guys have to meet his support needs there. In the end, it turns out that that school is not going to be the best fit for him, and that's fine. Like I said, I'm more worried about what it's going to be for him transitioning and what that's going to look like. Logan is a smart kid. He's a sensitive little boy, and these things aren't easy for him. So yeah, so some of his, you know, his autism, as they referred it to, his autism behaviors, do need more support. When I asked him to give me, just kind of, you know, run me down some of these challenges and some of these behaviors that he's having, one of them was him, you know, eloping and running away, being pulled out of the classrooms multiple times, not having a set routine. And that's always been an issue actually with Logan, is he does better when he's not moved around so much. So once he's already established a routine, then he does good. He doesn't have transition issues. He's not trying to run away because he wants to run away. It's because he wants to stay where he's at. So that's one of the things that they're concerned about, is him, you know, eloping and not wanting to go where he needs to go and running off to a different direction. And that's what they're worried. And not knowing how to navigate the school was the other one, is because he's not familiar with the school. And you know, he can't walk to the bathroom by himself. He can't, you know, go to the front office and, you know, walk his way back and stuff like that. And then of course the sensory needs, some of his repetitive behaviors, just having some of that social and emotional support, self-regulating. So I want him to be in a school and in a classroom where there is going to be support for him. So if that's going to be at Gavin's school, then that's what it's going to be. And he will be routed with Gavin on the bus, so they will be riding together, which I'm actually pretty happy about, because I know Gavin loves it. I know Gavin, you know, him having a hard time being separated in the first place was hard, and I think having them together will be nice. Although I already know that Logan does not want to ride the bus to Gavin's school. I did mention it to Logan a little bit about, you know, what if he started taking the bus to school? What if, you know, what if he goes to school with brother? And Logan, I can tell it's not going to be easy for him, because he's already refusing that idea pretty much. What time is it? 10:20. Okay, so we do have to go pick up Molina in a little bit. So I did have concerns about Molina being in the homeschool's developmental preschool. and what that would look like transitioning out of there, because she also has a diagnosis of autism. I am just questioning now if that's going to be the right fit for her. Although I understand too that not all the elementary schools in this district have a developmental preschool, so she wouldn't even be able to go with the boys to that school because that school does not have it. I think for right now we're going to finish out this school year having Molina at her home school and having the boys together at Gavin's school, and hopefully we get adjusted a little bit before, you know, the end of school year. One other thing I do want to mention, and I'll talk about this a little bit more later, but there is an autism school, an autism charter school nearby that we are actually going to be looking at and taken into consideration. Definitely for Gavin, he's the one that we were thinking would probably be better placed at an autism school, where they can work with not only academics but also like life skills. So once we actually look into that, then we'll share a little bit more about that. But yeah, so a lot of things that are, you know, going through my mind. A lot of things, a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety because of all of this. I'm just hoping that this change with Logan is good and it works out. Otherwise we'll have to come up with, you know, another plan and something that's gonna actually work. Yeah, so this is our first school update. Am I crazy for thinking that, you know, this should have worked out better? Like, I feel like I shouldn't be asking for this much help and support. I feel like this is something that should have already been given. I feel like this is something that, you know, we should have been met with on the first day, but it just seems like it didn't happen, and really made me question, like, did we do the right move for schools, you know, for the boys on their schools? It really makes me appreciate like where they were at and how, you know, how good the school was to my children. And coming into this new school has been a little bit scary. It's been very stressful, and I'm just hoping that it gets better. So we will see. I will try to give another update, hopefully before the end of school. If you guys have questions, any advice, please leave them in the comments. And yeah, I guess that's just this video. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys at the next one. Bye. And bonus clip, just picked up Molina. I realized that I got so worked up with talking about what was happening with Logan that I didn't even mention that Molina has actually had a very good week at school. It's been her first full week of preschool, and there was a couple days at drop-off where she was like, no school, no school. And even getting her ready in the morning, she's kind of been like fighting it, but it doesn't last. It's been very quick where she's like, no, and then we're like, no, we gotta go, you know, we got snacks in your backpack, you know, you're ready to go. And then she feels better, and she's been going to school fine. So she's had a really good week. I hope it continues for her, and hopefully there isn't any more changes or surprises with her, at least. Do you like school?
Yeah.
You do? Is it fun? Do you play in the playground? Yeah? And you
dress up.
And you dress up? You guys play dress up? That's so fun. And you play in the little kitchen? Yeah.
And balls.
And balls. And you got friends at school? That's so amazing. But yes, I'm so glad she's actually having a really good week so far, and hopefully it continues for her for the rest of the year. And like I mentioned before, any updates of any other changes that need to happen. Oh, the sand that came out of her shoes. Oh my gosh. Is that sand? What? All right. Say bye.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. See you next time. Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.